Hello and welcome back. And while the film's been on, we've been having a pretty busy evening here. In fact, we've had a lot of good calls on nearly all of tonight's cases.
First, that £250,000 fraud, which began with a burglary in an office in London's Mayfair. Documents and stationery were stolen, but one of the fraudster's voice was captured on tape.
Hello, yes, my name is John Bailey, Director and Secretary of Wilmot. I want to buy German bonds.
Sergeant Colin Murray, what sort of response have you had?
Well, we've had a very, very good response on this. There's a number of people phoned up asking to see the video fit of the white man again.
Right, now this is the man who actually took a banker's draft to turn it into Deutschmarks, to cash, but originally took a forged money. I took a forged letter to get that money ordered, the banker's order.
That is correct, yes.
We don't know if his glasses are normally worn or whether he just used them for this particular operation. What else have you heard?
Well, we had another telephone call from a person who has been in trouble for a similar type of offence.
Actually has a conviction for it.
Has a conviction for this type of offence, and I would be very interested for this person to phone me on the number they'll see at the end of the programme tomorrow, and I want to speak to this person personally myself.
I saw over people's shoulders earlier on, people were coming up, ringing up with actual names and addresses of people who had formed for this sort of thing, or
yes, there has been response from other police officers and from customs people, from even relatives of people who they think may be involved in this type of offence, yes.
OK, Colin Murray, thank you very much. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
So,
Well, next, the two men who've so far, since April, stolen 8 expensive Mercedes cars. Their technique is to find parked cars, disable them, and then play Good Samaritan when the owner starts looking for them.
If you just leave me the car key, I won't need the house keys, just the car key.
And here's PC Rory McLeod of Chelsea Police. You've had nearly 100 calls now, I think, haven't you?
Yes, we have. It's been very, very good.
Has anybody come forward to admit that they too have had a Mercedes stolen in the same way?
Well, we've had 3 cases where people have phoned up stating that they've actually had people trying to steal the car in the same method, and it does appear to have been the same suspects.
Does anybody recognise either of the two men?
Well, we've had at least 15 phone calls giving names and addresses, so we'll be looking into those. That's good.
You've had some calls from some police officers, I gather?
Yes, we've actually now had 4 phone calls which stated that they believe that these suspects could well have been in police custody at one time. So, again, we'll be looking into that.
In which case you'll have their criminal records?
Yes.
You had somebody who said they were related to the two men, I think?
Yes, if that person could actually please phone us back, we definitely want to speak to that person again.
Right. And I heard something about an Irish connection.
Well, we believe that these vehicles have now, or some of them may have been exported via Ireland to places as far as, let's say, Malta and New Zealand, but that's definitely a possibility.
And maybe that the young mechanic is Irish as well.
Could be.
At least everybody recognises their technique, if not the men yet. Let's hope they recognise the men soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
let's look next at the Rachel Partridge murder. Now, Rachel was a young woman who was just about to go on her first holiday abroad with her boyfriend. She went to use a friend's sunbed, and then she had to make her own way home. She decided to hitch a lift. Next day, Rachel's body was discovered in a barn. The man in charge of the case is Roy Payne. Enormous number of calls, I know.
Yes, a very good response so far, not only here in the studio, but also the incident room at High Wycombe has been kept very, very busy.
What have been your most promising ones?
We've had one call in particular from a lady that phoned in to say that in August this year, she was approached by a man in a white Ford Escort. He grabbed her and tried to strangle her, she thought, and she had to fight to get away. Unfortunately, this lady is very, very frightened. She hasn't told any relatives or friends of this incident, and she rung off before we could obtain full details. So my appeal now is for this lady to please contact us again. She may have information which is vital to us. If she's concerned in any way regarding confidentiality, please, if I could reassure her, everything she says to us will be treated in the strictest confidence.
Well, if you're watching, Detective Superintendent Roy Payne is the person to ask for. You've got that guarantee on national television, absolute confidentiality. Of course, you could help piece that final bit into the jigsaw, absolutely essential that you call. The thing is, Rachel's clothing has never been discovered, has it?
No. Extensive searches obviously have been made throughout the area, but not one item has yet been recovered.
This is what she was wearing. This is, of course, the actress who took part in the reconstruction. But that jacket that Rachel was wearing when she was killed is very distinctive and hasn't been found. Well, good luck, Mr. Payne. Thank you very much indeed.
No, thank you.
Well, now to the cases we covered on Incident Desk and Photocall. Here's Helen Phelps. First of all, Helen, the man who assaulted 2 young girls on Merseyside last month, we showed an artist's impression of him. Did anybody recognise it?
Yes, he had a very distinctive haircut. Well, there have been over 15 calls. 2 have been very interesting indeed, and the officers here have got officers in Liverpool checking out the information right now.
So that could be very hopeful. Secondly, there were 2 lorry loads full of toys that disappeared. First of all, we heard some news earlier on that the clodbusters had been found, or some of them had.
Yes, that's right. A marvellous response. The officers were busy waving their wads of messages at me earlier on this evening. Over 130 calls in total. There have been sightings in Essex, Wembley Market, East London. One interesting call was a man reporting that a person in a red van had called at their factory and had been trying to sell the teddies there. Perhaps someone else has some information about that, and if they can call either Felixstowe Police Station or Dartford.
Right. And on Photocall, there were 2 men robbing a jeweller's shop in Ilford Lane in East London and got away with £76,000. Did everybody spot them?
Well, 25 calls have come in, all giving names, very interesting information. One call in particular is causing some excitement, and officers are double-checking the information now.
And the Building Society robber in London?
Well, the officer here has been very cagey about giving information on this. There's obviously been a very good response and perhaps a few calls that could lead to something far more interesting, but he refuses to give any more information.
Maybe some news next month. Nick, thank you.
David, what about that bizarre disappearance of the couple from Jersey?
Yes, we've had 18 calls to the studio, Nick. 10 of them say that they've been sighted in the Cornwall or Devon area. We've also had sightings in places like Holborn, Newport, Chester, and even a possible hospital patient in Hampstead. But if anybody recognises them and still wants to call, we're obviously willing to listen to them.
They seem to be coming up all over the country. Presumably most of those calls are mistaken identity. They can't be in all those places. Or who knows? What about that other bizarre thing that we covered, which was the attack on a security vehicle carrying cash by a van armed with a battering ram?
Yes, that was on the 20th of October. We've had 2 calls on that only, and both of them are not very helpful at all, although of course the callers rang in good faith. What we would ask is for anybody who recognises these plates that were used on the vehicle, there was a red Sierra and a white Sierra, used in the robbery. If you recognise making up those plates, then give us a call. We're told by our scenes of crime officer that the plates are unusual in that on the back there you can just see the letters are raised in an unusual way, and we're told by our SOCO that it's an unusual and uncommon plate.
You're told by your what?
Sorry, scenes of crime officer. That's
I wonder what a SOCO was. The Shepton Mallet robbery, that was a horrible aggravated burglary.
Yes, it was. We've had only 2 calls on that one as well. One of them tells us it's the son of a neighbour, and the other caller asked to see those pictures again. Well, there they are. If anybody has the slightest idea of who they might be, please call us. A woman was brutally battered as she returned home to discover her house being burgled. They must be caught.
Thank you, David. Let me quickly bring you up to date now with some of the results from last month's programme we promised you earlier. I must say we had a disappointing result so far on the murder of Wendy Nell, the woman who managed a photographic shop in Tunbridge Wells in Kent. Several viewers turned up keys, rather like the ones that went missing from her flat, but none have turned out to fit her locks. One piece of information that sounded very promising on that case turned out to be the result of a séance, and it led nowhere.
We had almost 300 calls about the series of rapes in the Notting Hill area of West London. And at least 5 women reported rapes which hadn't been disclosed before, but none has been traced back to the Notting Hill attacker. The police have so much information now that it'll be some time before they've processed it all, but
And that's about it for this month. The lines are closing down right now. But if you've anything to add, we'll give you a list of local numbers in a moment. You can always just call your local police, of course, or you can write to us. There's the address, Crimewatch UK, BBC TV, London W12 8QT.
There'll be more news on this programme on Open Air at 10 to 12 tomorrow morning, and we'll be back on Tuesday the 8th of December. And remember, the sort of serious crimes that we show you on this programme really are much less common than a lot of us might think they are. And the whole purpose of crime